In this video, I want to talk about this plugin from Dehancer called Dehancer Pro. I've already reviewed and did a walkthrough of the Dehancer app for the iOS, so if you missed that, you can watch it by clicking right here somewhere. A lot of the editing settings and concepts like bloom and halation used to edit videos in the phone app are shared with Dehancer Pro. So to make sure I don't make like another 20-minute video again, I'll only be lightly covering those parts. Before I move into Dehancer Pro, I just wanted to say this as a disclaimer. Dehancer themselves contacted me about reviewing their app and products. However, I'm not required to say anything by Dehancer, and I'm free to basically give you guys my honest opinion. In return, they did give me a lifetime license for Dehancer Pro. I also do get a percentage of the sales they make when anyone purchases their products using my code WinstonDLee, which helps support my channel and photography. With that code, you'll be able to get 10% off your purchase as well. So if you're interested, please continue watching. So now that all that's out the way, I'll get more into Dehancer Pro. It's available for DaVinci, Final Cut Pro, and Premiere Pro. I use Final Cut Pro personally, so I'll be showcasing the plugin with Final Cut Pro. For around a month or so, I've been messing around with the plugin, and my first impressions of it is that, like the phone app, it's very detailed. I'm by no means an expert at film photography or film cameras, but at first glance, when you use the plugin in your editing program, even if you have no knowledge of film, you can clearly see the detail Dehancer has put in. But I'll let you be the judge of that yourself when I get into the plugin. Before I get more into the details of the plugin and what you can do with Dehancer Pro, I'll be showcasing a short video I made with Dehancer Pro. These clips were from my time in Numazu, Japan, one of my favorite places in the world. I actually took these clips for a vlog that I'd been planning to make of my photography plans that specific day. However, I ended up not making that vlog, so instead, I decided to use those clips and have some fun with it in Dehancer Pro. Anyways, before I start talking too much, I hope you enjoy. Okay guys, so this is the Dehancer Pro in Final Cut Pro plugin that I'll show you right now. And before I get into the specific edits that I've made within the video, which by the way, I'll show 3 clips and show you how I adjusted them, how I edited them, and so on and so forth. Before I do that, let me just go over how to start the plugin and how to use it within Final Cut Pro and get started. So at the end right here, you'll see that I have my unedited clip of one portion of the video, which is this video of the traffic lights right here and this kind of area in Numazu. And what you want to do first is you can even apply it directly on the clip. But for me, I like to use adjustment layers just because I just had a habit of using them. So I would drag this adjustment layer right here on top of the clip in Final Cut Pro. Let me zoom in a bit. So once I put my adjustment layer on there, what I want to do next is then I want to go into my effects panel right here, and I want to go into the film emulation portion right here, and you'll see that I have Dehancer Pro. So I can drag Dehancer Pro onto the adjustment layer right here, and once I apply that to the layer, you'll see that I have this effects panel right here on top. And this is basically where I can do changes that I want. So you can see already that the image and the video is already changed from the Dehancer Pro effects on it. So what I can do, I can go to the profile right here to get started and choose any of the film emulations that I want. Let's say I want the Kodak Eastman XX5222. Put that right there and look at it. You can see how the film emulation is now on the video and the effect is applied. And then from then on I can edit all the other settings and stuff, which I'll get over to right now actually. So discussing this first clip right here, I want to talk about this opening part of the video where this man is eating at this soba restaurant. And the first thing that I want to discuss is actually profiles, like I mentioned before, not the profile in terms of the film emulations, but the profiles in these other sections of the effects and the edits. And just to mention again, I'm not going to go over every single setting, such as film grain, halation, film damage, and so on and so forth, because I already mentioned that in my Dehancer iOS app review, which you can find again on top of, I'll link it over here again. But I already spoke a lot about the edits and the type of ideas and concepts that you can change within that app, and they share a lot of similarities, if not they're the same actually, in the Dehancer Pro plugin. So from there, you can basically get that same information by watching the other videos. So I don't want to waste anyone's time. And instead, I'll just kind of do a quick overview of this and also explain concepts that I missed or may have missed in the iOS video. What I want to get to first is this profile section right here. So for example, if I click on the profile option right here of the film grain, you'll see that there are different profiles. So there's 8mm, 16mm, 35mm, and 65mm in different number of ISOs. And with that, it's actually talking about the different film gauges. So with film gauges, or just with film, there are a number of different film gauges you can shoot with. And film gauge is just referring to the width of the film strip. And there are a number of reasons why one would shoot over another film gauge, but I'm not gonna get into that topic because that's a whole nother different conversation. But to simplify for this video, larger film gauges produce better quality image and lower film gauges produce lower quality images. So for example, this is right now is at 35mm ISO 250. If I were to change this to, let's say, 8mm ISO 250, you can drastically see the difference in film quality. You can see that it got a lot more grainier. Whereas if I go to 65mm ISO 250, it clears up a lot. So you can kind of play around with that. If you want, more film grain, you can obviously go to 8mm ISO 500, and you can really see the grain right there. And yeah, that's just a really cool way to edit, that setting within Dehancer Pro. For me, I like the 35mm ISO 250 for that clip, so I'll just, keep it there for now. And then another aspect I want to talk about as well is gate weave. So gate weave is Dehancer's way to mimic the mechanical swinging of a film strip in your typical type of film camera or projector, which is often done intentionally to bring life into a digital camera. So for example, if I play this clip right here, let me mute my computer, that way you don't hear it twice. If I play this clip right here with gate weave on, you can see a bit of shaking effect right there. And that's essentially what gate weave is that shaking effect. If I turn off gate weave right here, let me go to gate weave and turn that off. If I play it again, you don't see that shaking anymore because I turned gate weave off. And essentially how they do that in Dehancer Pro is, you'll actually see when I enable it, it actually essentially crops into the image right there. And that's how you can get that shakiness right there. So that's a really cool way to kind of mimic that effect. And I really do like it. It does essentially give that analog feeling, and it does, like it says, breathe or bring life into the image, into the video, especially in standstill situations like how this video was filmed right here. So this is the second clip that I wanted to talk about right here. This is the first Numazu clip in the second portion of the video. And with this, I want to talk about the compression setting in Dehancer Pro. So to explain again what the film compression section is in Dehancer Pro, the film compression portion allows you to basically affect the tonal range of the photo and alter it. Essentially, I can change where the highlights clipping occurs, where the highlights are, and then I can either push that towards the midtones more, or I can essentially, push it further. And for example, if I move this to the left right here, I'm essentially pushing the highlights further away from clipping, so it gets brighter. If I move it more towards the right, I'm pushing the highlights more towards the midtones, and it gets a bit more dull. And that's the impact portion of it. With the white point, if I push that white point to the left, I'm essentially getting more contrast in the image. Whereas if I'm pushing it to the right, it's the opposite. If I push it to the right, I essentially get less contrast in the image. And I can use that and play around with that and get the type of look I want in a much more thorough type of way. And I can really be specific in that portion of the image, the tonal range of the image. With the bloom setting right here, bloom by definition is the bleeding of light white colors into dark areas of the picture. For me personally, it reminds me if I just use the dehaze and the declarity slider in Lightroom. I'm not a pro at film photography or anything like that, but for me, bloom looks like that. So you can be the judge of that yourself. So for example, if I turn bloom off right here, you can essentially see the image get sharper. If I turn it back on again, it gets softer. And that's for me is bloom right there in a nutshell. So the final thing I wanted to discuss about with this clip right here is remjet. So under halation right here in profile, you can see that I chose 35mm, 35 no remjet. And what remjet basically means, or is a removable black coating layer on a film in real life. And it works as a type of anti-halation. So that's how Dehancer Pro right here is mimicking that type of idea and effect. So with here in halation, you can see that there are 8mm Super 8, and then there's an 8mm Super 8 no remjet option. And that's with each type of film gauge right here in the profile. And essentially, again, that's what Dehancer is using to mimic that effect. 35mm Super 35 no remjet is the film strip with no remjet, essentially. And that is taking out that anti-halation covering right there, and essentially you can get more halation, if that makes sense. There is no layer to anti-halation that film image, and essentially that's what it is. If I go to the normal one with remjet, you can see that it's not as prominent right there. If I go to no remjet, the halation effect is much more prominent and much more visible. So that's remjet right there. So the third and final clip I want to discuss right here is this traffic light image. Again, it's the same image in the same video that I talked about earlier in the beginning, but this is the last one that I want to discuss in terms of the edits that I've done with it. So the first part that I want to talk about is actually the overscan option, or as you can see, these borders right here on the sides of the video clip. So in Dehancer Pro, there are a bunch of overscan gate type options that you can choose from, such as Super 8mm, and I'll show you right here. So Super 8mm right here, that's that. If I change it back and I put Super 16, you get that. If I go to widescreen 35mm, you can get that. And that's what I like about the Dehancer overscan options. There are a bunch of options and you can have fun with it. You might have noticed within the video that I just chose a bunch of them. I wanted to showcase it and show you guys how you can use it in your edits, but also for me, I just liked to experiment with that, and I liked just creatively using it in my video, and it was really fun choosing them and trying to decide which ones I would choose to add and to which video, and just kind of have fun with that. So yeah, that's overscan. And so I want to mention what overscan actually is. Overscan refers to the overscan look in film, which you can see is when a portion of the frame is hidden behind these borders. This also adds to the film feel, and you can really use it creatively in your edits, like how I did right here in my video. The last time I want to talk about this video is film breath. So film breath is essentially the accidental changes in exposure, contrast, and color from frame to frame as the film moves. This is a trait that is really synonymous with film footage in terms of analog feeling, and it gives, again, that film look, that film vibe. So to demonstrate what film breath is, I can just turn film breath on right here, and you can see when I press play. So essentially when you see this, you can really see the color changes. So you see how it starts off warm, but then you can see how it kind of turns cold, turns bluish, purplish even, and then it turns back warm. It's that constant changing of color right there. And that's what it is, film breath right there, and that gives off that type of film feeling yet again. Now that you've seen the plugin, there's one more important thing that I want to talk about, which is the price of the plugin itself. Even though I did praise and mention about how detailed Dehancer Pro is when it comes to the film look and emulating that style into video form, that comes with a price, unfortunately, and a big price for probably most people. As of right now, the lifetime license is $449. With how expensive photography and videography already is, that makes it quite hard for me to recommend everyone to get this plugin. However, if you can afford it and have the extra income and obviously, the interest to get it, I'd say go for it, as I love my time with the plugin and I've had a lot of fun with it so far and for days to come. However, if you don't have the extra money, I'd honestly say it's a safe pass and to spend that money on other aspects of photography or videography, such as a nice trip somewhere so you can actually use your camera to get cool shots and clips and make memories, of course, instead of, just letting your gear collect dust in your room. Well, that's all for this video. I hope you enjoyed this review and walkthrough of the Dehancer Pro plugin. I've really enjoyed my time with it, playing around with all the settings and editing these old clips I have saved in my vault on my SSD. And of course, I'll continue playing with it and adding these film looks to my clips if I want that film simulation type of look on them. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and subscribe. Let me know how you like the plugin. What are some of your favorite features? You can write it down in the comment section below. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next video. Later.